welcome back to our final segment of Robert's Wrestling and Talk. I am still joined live via Skype by my good friend, Mr. Cornbread Chris Heineken. How you doing?
Oh yeah, I'm still ready, rocking and rolling.
Okay, well, let's end this series of videos by talking surprise entrants in the Royal Rumble. Now, historically, throughout the Royal Rumble, there have been surprise entrants, whether it's been a return from injury, like we saw Edge last year, or whether it's just been a new superstar debuting. That's happened the last several years with NXT. And so, Cornbread, my question to you is, surprise entrants in the Royal Rumble a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a very tough question. I'll say yes and no. I'm gonna go with the yes portion of it. Yes, because to me, if you really try to quote unquote boost up your Royal Rumble morale, so to speak, and quote unquote try to get people still interested inside the Royal Rumble, then some surprises, unless if it's one that literally has you falling out of your seat, I'm okay with that. That's my yes for it. But I would say yes for the appearance, which leads me to my no answer, because some surprise entrances, unless if you're coming from injury, back from injury, as you said, some surprise entrances should not win.
Okay.
I mean, that's me. But I would say if you got a surprise entrance into the Rumble and that person's going to win, make sure you have a backup.
Okay. I actually like surprise entrance into the Royal Rumble just for the simple fact of it makes the Royal Rumble unpredictable, because sometimes there is a clear winner and surprises aren't really going to throw that off too much. Like I discussed last year's Royal Rumble, you could see a mile away Drew McIntyre was going to win, and I'm glad WWE went with that. But sometimes a surprise guy comes in and you're like, okay, this guy could win. Like with Edge when we saw him in the 2010 Royal Rumble, which I'll cheap plug Brian Zane. He just did that on his classic pay-per-view review. And having Edge come back from injury as a surprise entrant as number 29 to win the Royal Rumble. I like stuff like that because it makes the Royal Rumble unpredictable. Now, I know some people don't like surprise entrants because they'll just be lame filler in the match. You'll get a surprise returner legend, and the people won't really care about that person. So sometimes having surprise entrants into the Royal Rumble can actually hurt having that. And like I said, I like on being surprised because it gives it more unpredictability. Because like has Royal Rumbles in past years had all 30 participants announced before the match, or have they always had surprise entrants?
Normally 1 in 30 will always be announced.
Okay.
Normally 1 in 30, and I think backstage is supposed to be talking about that.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying,
it's 1 in 30, but
yeah. Well, what I was saying is the whole entire field of participants in the Rumble. Has there ever been a Rumble where everybody was announced ahead of time and there was no surprise entrance anywhere in the Rumble?
No. Normally just one. Normally just 1, 2, and 30. But in this case, just 1 in 30 is normally the only ones they'll ever announce.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do like surprise entrance into the Royal Rumble just for the simple fact, like I said, to reiterate the point and beating the horse to death here, of it makes the Royal Rumble more unpredictable. Now,
and then let me go to this question for you. And this is a two-parter, if you don't mind. And that's this. If unpredictability is one of the best situations, here's a question. Should either the WWE or Universal titles be defended in the Rumble?
Yes, only under specific scenarios. Oh, it should not necessarily be an every year thing, but if there is the right story to be told in the Rumble by the champion being in there or the title being on the line, then I'm perfectly fine. Like, we'll go back to the Royal Rumble that everyone rants and raves about, the 92 Royal Rumble, when the WWE Championship was vacant and the winner of the Rumble became the WWE Champion. So, in an instance like that, I'm okay because the title, I believe, was vacant because of the whole Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan thing, and then
Actually, it was more than that. Actually, Andre the Giant wasn't involved in that decision. It was actually because of the whole Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair situation.
okay, then I had my facts wrong, so thank you for correcting me. But like that's what caused the title to be vacant. So
because the champion and the reason being is because the championship, since you brought up Andre the Giant, it was 1988. That was the whole situation there with Hogan and Andre the Giant because Andre the Giant actually won the WWE Championship from Hogan, and then he was on the champion for second.
yeah, that's what led to the tournament at WrestleMania 4. So you are right. So
Right.
thank you for reminding me. So you're right there. So that's where I say the WWE title, it's okay to be defended in a Royal Rumble match. Now, like go ahead.
Well,
do you want me to answer the first part, or do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, finish it off.
And 2016, I believe, was the Rumble Roman had to defend his at number 1, right?
Yes.
So I mean, stuff like that. That's where I'm okay. In select basis, with the right story, I'm okay with the championship being defended in the Royal Rumble match. Like you had last year, Brock had an okay story because he wanted to, I guess, cherry pick his challenger by winning the Rumble, I guess is where he was going. But I really didn't care for the WWE Champion being in the Rumble there. You could have it did help McIntyre to eliminate Lesnar, and that did help set up Lesnar McIntyre for Mania with McIntyre winning. But I don't think Brock should have been in the match per se. But I mean, I understand why they did that. Was to help McIntyre get over and to really elevate him and boost him to the spot to where he could go on to Mania to face Lesnar and really be a big star. Because he was the biggest star of 2020 last year here in WWE. No doubt about it.
And I think you got a little bit inside of the portion of that question because the first 4 Royal Rumbles, that being 88, 89, 90, and 91, have all seen the champion inside of the Rumble.
Yeah.
Only when and this was, and you mentioned last year with Brock Lesnar, and then you mentioned only that one time when Roman Reigns defended the title in the Rumble. That does bring me to this next question: should the top dog champions, that being the WWE champion and the Universal champion, without even defending the title, should they be in the Royal Rumble? And I think you answered a little bit of that question, a little bit. But just to answer the whole question, should they be in this? And where?
Well, like I said, at the select basis, if the championship is on the line or it is vacated, and yeah, but with you saying should the champion be in the Royal Rumble? No, they're the champion. And since you really established WrestleMania as your biggest show of the year, like those first few probably times you had the champion in the Royal Rumble, you really didn't have the stipulation where the Rumble winner went on to Mania to challenge for the champion. Now that you have that stipulation, I don't think the champion should be in the Rumble unless you're telling the story of, like Roman Reigns, they were trying to make him an underdog babyface champion, so forcing him to run the gauntlet basically in the Royal Rumble match and having to win the Royal Rumble to retain his title, I was okay with. But under most cases or most circumstances, the champion should not be in the Royal Rumble because you have the stipulation of the person who wins it goes on to WrestleMania and has a guaranteed title shot.
Yeah, or guaranteed title match.
Yeah, a guaranteed title match, I should say, however you want to say it. So yeah, I don't really like the champion in the Royal Rumble match. Right. And to kind of end off our discussion is, since we're talking about surprise entrants into the Rumble match, who do you think will be surprise entrants? Let's start with the women's, since we did that last segment, into the women's Royal Rumble match. Now, we're probably going to see more on the women's side than we may see on the men's, just for the simple fact of you don't have maybe enough women to fill, so you have to do a lot more surprises than you do the men's. But Well, I'll let you go ahead. Who do you think will see a surprise entrance into the Women's Royal Rumble?
Um, Even though I do have three choices, I'm going with one of those three. But I'll tell you my three choices. My three choices will be Ronda Rousey. One.
Okay. And I think we
Uh,
discussed that in the last portion of the video, so you can go back
yeah.
and watch that to see why he says that.
We discussed Ronda Rousey. We discussed Becky Lynch,
Okay.
which would be another one. But now that you're upgrading, Rhea Ripley would
Ooh.
be and since like I said, since you're upgrading based off what went down in NXT a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Rhea Ripley,
Mm-hmm.
now comes the big deal. I say Ripley that would be my top surprise on the women's side.
Okay.
Now I'll say if it has to be like somebody that's doing like a free agent style deal,
Mm-hmm.
I won't be surprised if somehow, some way, either two former Impact Knockouts champions make their debut.
Okay. And I think I see where you're going there. Eric, I'll get to that here in a second.
Go
I
for it.
love all of your picks there for being surprise entrants.
What about
But,
your pick?
yeah. Rousey, I mean, I guess if she really wants to come back and WWE does really want to reestablish their women's division better than they have been doing right now, then Rousey might be the way you do that. But whether she wants to come back or not, don't know. Becky Lynch, I could see that happening too. She had a baby, I think, what, November or December? Maybe it's too early for her to return to the ring. I think she has been training a little. I don't know the extent of it, so I wouldn't surprise me to see a Becky Lynch thing. I'm trying to remember who was the third person you said.
Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley. That okay? I could see Rhea coming up and trying to win the Women's Royal Rumble that way because I mean you had her definitively get beat by Raquel Gonzalez, and I mean you really don't have anything left for Rhea to do in NXT. So bringing her up to the main roster or Raw and SmackDown would not hurt. So I mean Rhea could do it. Another surprise entrant, which would be surprise not surprise, Lana, like we talked about in the last video. We could see Lana come back from injury and have her participate in the Women's Royal Rumble match. I do think we could see some NXT call ups. Well, not necessarily call ups, but I do think we'll see NXT entries. I think we could probably go, maybe it's a safe bet that we're going to see Candice LeRae in there. Maybe another Shotzi Blackheart. I do think we are going to see some NXT competitors show up in the Women's Royal Rumble. Just from, I don't think they have the bodies on Raw and SmackDown to fill the 30 spots, but I could be wrong. But to get to your former Impact Knockout champions, I think we're like, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could have Taya Valkyrie, who's married to John Morrison, and John Mundo, however you want to say his name. And you could have her be in the Women's Royal Rumble because you don't necessarily have to let her win it, and it's not necessarily a call up if she's in the Women's Royal Rumble match because she could always go to NXT and compete there and go through the Performance Center. So you wouldn't necessarily hurt to have Taya show up in the Women's Royal Rumble match and make her debut in WWE in a Women's Royal Rumble match. Because, like I said, you could always send her back down to NXT and let her do NXT before she hits the main roster. So I wouldn't be surprised there. Now let's flip this. Let's go to the men's side. Who do you think will see a surprise entrance on the men's side of the Royal Rumble match?
If I have to go with a surprise legend,
Okay.
I will go with somebody that has won it twice.
Okay.
One of them being not your favorite on this one, but someone that actually would be a better opponent, one of the better opponents for Drew McIntyre. I'm going John Cena. That would
Boo.
be, but,
Boo. Boo.
but here's the thing. If you really think about somebody that can elevate Drew McIntyre's game, who better to have in that spot than Cena?
Yeah.
Cena don't have to win. He doesn't even have to be a 17-time champion. And if he does become a 17-time champion, look at how he became a 16-time champion. He had bottom line, what many would consider one of WWE's all-time classics with him and AJ Styles from Rumble 2017.
Yeah, and
that was an all-time classic.
Yeah, a great match. It just sucks that the execution of that. He loses the title 2 weeks later to Bray Wyatt in the Elimination Chamber.
But that was a method to that madness though, because if you really pay attention to a lot of his promos, even with the feud with Bray Wyatt, he even said himself, "Hey, if I was the champion, I'd rather lose my title to Bray Wyatt." Now, the way that Bray Wyatt lost it was stupid. We both agree there.
Yeah.
The way he lost the title was stupid. But for McIntyre's sake, if you really, I'll say for a legend perspective, McIntyre will have a better matchup with Cena because you can force Cena to pull some tricks out of his sleeve like he did with Styles. And that's why I also picked Lashley was one of my picks because of the better chemistry that Lashley and McIntyre have. So if I have to go surprise pick from a legend side, I would go John Cena. But since you really put this question to me, if I have to say another surprise entrant, I'll have to say it'll have to come from NXT.
Okay.
Oh, actually, it may not have to come from NXT. I'll say one of them will come from NXT.
Okay.
But I will also say a surprise return will be Aleister Black.
Okay. Yeah, now you're cooking with fire.
I'll say the surprise will be Aleister Black. The bigger surprise is if he wins it all.
Yeah.
That will be the big surprise.
Yeah.
Now let's go to yours.
Okay. John Cena, I think we will see as a surprise entrant into the Royal Rumble. Oh, because I think they do want him for WrestleMania. Whether or not he would win it or not, I don't think he would. So, I mean, I could see the surprise entrant of John Cena. Aleister Black very well could do that because they've been holding him off TV. And, like, from what I've heard from the rumors, it's not because of his wife, the Trinidad, and Selena Vega being fired. It's just that they want to establish him as dominant character on Fox on SmackDown. So what better way than SmackDown and like reintroduce him in the Royal Rumble and have him have a good showing, and he could have very impactful SmackDown debut. So that would be another one. Obviously, I do think we're going to see NXT, maybe, and Adam Cole in it. Maybe we see another member of the Undisputed Era show up in the Men's Royal Rumble. Maybe we have Gargano or Ciampa. Who knows there?
I do think Gargano and Ciampa will actually be better fits. But to me, I would rather go Ciampa in that position.
Well, I mean, with what happened in the fight pit and stuff, I would think it would be more prone to see Ciampa. But we'll see. But the one that's a surprise, that's not a surprise, we're forgetting what happened at Survivor Series. Seth freaking Rollins. I do think we see him come back. Becky's had her baby. He's not the one who had the baby. So we very well could see Seth Rollins come back to the Royal Rumble for WrestleMania season. And I don't think Becky would necessarily give him a lot of flack for going back to work now after taking Survivor Series. So he's had a couple months off now. So I think you can have him ready to return on SmackDown and make a surprise return in the Royal Rumble. So I'd say he's a surprise, but not a surprise because I do expect him to show up in the Men's Royal Rumble match. But that is all the time we have for this segment. It has been a great weekend talking with you, bro. I've enjoyed having you on the show. So once again, before we close this off, where can people find you on social media?
Social media, I am on Twitter at Chris Heineken1 and Facebook.com/The Real Cornbread. And I'll leave some encouraging advice if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, go for it.
Earn every day, encourage every soul.
Yeah.
Be grateful for what you have. And when you wake up in the morning, Don't look at every day as a bad day. Look at it. Look at every day as an opportunity to earn your day and impact your life. Because a child saved is a soul saved plus a life.
Okay, some good encouraging words at the end of this show. I'll also leave my links to my social media down in the video links below. Thank you guys for joining us for this very special Royal Rumble edition. Hopefully you enjoy the Rumble. I know I'm going to be watching. Mr. Reefin, I know you've got the Grammys you're covering along with.
I'll be doing Rumble and Grammys.
Yeah, you're going to have a busy packed weekend yourself. So, everyone, I hope you enjoy the Royal Rumble and thank you for checking out Robert's Wrestling Talk. We will see you next time.